Welcome to the Mischief Maker broadcast, where chaos, creativity, and common sense collide. Your host, Joel Freeman, was kicked out of high school in Alberta, Canada. He left home at 17 and hitchhiked around North America as a long-haired hippie and dope-smoking fool. He made a 180-degree change, becoming one of the first chaplains in the history of the NBA. As a professional speaker, Joel has traveled to well over 55 countries. His many books have been published in 28 foreign translations. Pieces from his Black History collection have been seen by millions at the United Nations and many other venues. And now, the Chief Mischief Maker himself, Dr. Joel A. Freeman.
Hi, Baby Joel here. You know, my sister did her nails with whiteout. When she was asleep, I crawled over and wrote misspelled words on them.
Well, there we go. Baby Joel strikes again, and we'll probably strike again next week on our live show. By the way, if you're watching us live, you know who you are. We have a special opportunity for you tonight. We have a great guest. I'll introduce her in just a few moments. But you have the opportunity to ask questions. So get your keyboard warrior mindset going, and anything that's germane to the show. Mel, he's the keeper of the screen, so he will make sure it's right, and he'll bring it on the show, and then our guest will respond accordingly. Now, a couple of things just for kind of housekeeping. This show is probably, I guess we could title it, What Leaders Wish They'd Asked a Lawyer Before It Was Too Late. How do you like that? That's a teaser. So hang in there. With the show, if you would just go below and subscribe and hit the like button and maybe make a comment or two. Now, keep it nice, but you can say whatever you want. It's a free world, and we love to hear your unvarnished thoughts and feelings about what the show is what you feel about the show. And also, you'll see just above here the QR code. There's a link tree that is called chiefmischiefmaker.com. You see it on my name tag here. And if that doesn't work, if you're on your cell phone, that's not working for you. Just go to chiefmischiefmaker.com, those three words, and it'll take you to a link tree. And then you'll be able to connect with our guest tonight. Plus, you'll be able to just kind of look back on some of the old shows. You'll be able to go and hear some music, all that kind of good stuff. And so it's going to be a great evening today or day, whenever you're watching this. And then also, this show is, if you want to know what a mischief maker is, just go to that link tree, and I have a whole definition. And you too can become a mischief maker. We have people from all over the world, from India, Australia, Belgium, Germany, France, UK, Canada, US, Japan, all kinds of places around the world watching at this moment. And so we're going to try to make this germane to you. So it's not just an American-centric show. It is something that's that reaches everyone in the world with, scratching where you're itching, so to speak. So tonight we're going to be, let me play a song first, and then I'm going to introduce our guest. Her name is Regan VanSteenis, and you are going to want to hang in there. But first, we're going to play a song that I think is kind of germane to our topic this evening, about help for entrepreneurs, legal help, and it's called Business Partner Blues. So Mel, let's play that song right now.
Started out dreaming, hands in the air. Worked hard to build something, a vision to share. Attacked hell with squirt guns, thought we were tough. But business and friendship, wow, it can get rough. Then came the dollars, along with the doubt. Late night worries and figures to count. One was saving, the other was spending. Both Was it the greed? Maybe just two different versions of me. But there's a way to stand the test, to keep a friendship and not make a mess. Write it all down, be clear and wise. Shake on the deal, but don't close your eyes. Respect the roles, don't cross the lane. Split the profit, split the pain. If trust gets thin, step back, reset. 'Cause friendship's a fortune you don't wanna bet. The best way to ruin a bond that's true is to mix in money and gaslight the view. If you wanna stay friends and make money together, be humble and smart and respect God forever. Respect the roles, don't cross the lane. Split the profit, split the pain. If trust gets thin, step back, reset. 'Cause friendship's a fortune you don't wanna bet. The best way to ruin a bond that's true is to mix in money and gaslight the view. If you wanna stay friends and make money together, be humble and smart and respect God forever.
About that song is I'd worked with a lot of business partners, and just heard a lot about the business partner blues. I worked also with about 12 family-owned businesses behind the scenes and helping them navigate some issues. And so that song came out of pain that I heard from people. And I'm not exempt from pain myself, so it all kind of mixed in there together. And I hope you enjoyed the lyrics in the song that I produced. Today, we have just a dynamite guest. You're going to experience dynamite tonight. Her name is Regan VanSteenis, and she served. I've got my phone here with her bio because I just don't want to miss anything here. She served as a chief legal counsel for large businesses and nonprofits for over 20 years. And she believes entrepreneurship is the best way to empower people and to solve the world's most complex problems. And over her career, she's worked with and she's collaborated with some of the top brands in the United States. Her experience spans from business to entertainment to intellectual property, employment, tax, contract, negotiations, high-profile litigation. This has allowed her to be a part of some of the most distinctive transactions around the globe, including the purchase of an NBA arena that now serves a 1,600-seat home of America's largest church, Lakewood, in Houston area. The first of its kind, an inspirational satellite radio channel on SiriusXM, the Joel Osteen Channel 128, and one of America's top podcasts, and also at least 10 New York Times best-selling books, among others. And over the course of her career, Regan has advised well over $1 billion of business transactions. So right now, Regan, come on. I know you're in a hotel in Miami.
I am.
I know that the lighting ain't exactly the way you want it to be with the big lights and everything else, but you look really cool, and you're in a warm climate, and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Joel. I'm so honored to be here and so honored to be visiting with you and talking to your audience. So thank you so much.
Now we met each other on a trip to Israel, right? That was just before COVID, and we
Oh, we
had a
sure
blast.
did. And actually, as we were just talking before we hopped on, we were the last Americans in Israel to be shipped back to the USA because of COVID. So it was kind of a crazy time.
It was, but it was a wonderful experience. I know you were going to try to add on Jordan in that trip, but you had to come back, and just so glad to have gotten to know you. You know, you get to know people when you travel with them, especially internationally, because the good, the bad, and the ugly comes out. And I'll tell you, you are incredible to travel with. And
Well,
it was
Joel,
a group tour, and we loved it.
it's thanks to you. I mean, you were such a great leader, and I remember we were Team A on your bus. So you were such a great leader and organized such a great trip. And I really thank you. It was the trip of a lifetime. So if anyone has any desire to go to Israel or the other places Joel goes, and sign up, because he's an amazing leader to go with, and it was just a wonderful experience. I took my my aunt and uncle, my cousin, as you may remember,
I do.
And some friends came. So it was really, I just really thank you. It was a trip of a lifetime. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. You have, as we mentioned, worked with some very high-profile situations, and Joel Osteen, Lakewood Church, and all kinds of other things. I want to put a pin in that.
Okay.
But I want to go back to now to just talk to entrepreneurs and to discuss some legal aspects. But first, I want to get to know you, or have our audience get to know you a little bit better. Just take us back into your childhood, your siblings, your parents, and what caused you to become a lawyer out of all the vocations you could have chosen.
Yeah, no, great question. So I grew up in Southern California. Don't judge me for that, everybody. I grew up in Southern California, and my dad was a minister. And I remember as a young girl in California, I remember the judges making these rules, like letting people out of jail that I thought were scary. And I remember distinctly saying, like, well, hey, if these people can do that much for bad, I bet if I did that, I could do that much for good. And I actually just believe it was the divine God kind of dropping it in my heart for the calling that was on my life. And so when I was 10 years old, I decided I was going to be a lawyer, and I grew up and that's what I did. And so I have three brothers. Two are lawyers also, but they don't serve in the same industry. They're litigators. I'm what's called a corporate lawyer. So I help entrepreneurs, nonprofits, a lot of the big churches in the United States and actually across the world. I help a lot of big churches, a lot of big entrepreneurs, brands that are household names in many places. I help them make sure they don't have to have a litigator, basically, is what I do. So I graduated from law school, and I came to work immediately for Lakewood Church, which you said was seats 1,600. It actually sits 16,000 people.
Oh,
that
I'm sorry.
church. No, that's okay.
1-0,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I know. You're counting. It seats 16,000. And that really was I was so humbled and so honored to be able to be a part of that, because it really has changed a lot of lives across the world. And I got to be a part of it in a very special way, and at least according for my heart. And so, so that has obviously opened a lot of doors for me to do a lot of really fun things, including going to Israel with you, Joel. And so now here I am. About 5 years ago, I felt a pull inside to leave. I was an employee for 20 years, if you can believe that. And I felt a pull inside to become an entrepreneur. And so I left a very great job that gave me a lot of significance and a lot of certainty and a lot of fun. But what happened, Joel, honestly, is I went out, I set some time aside and went out till I was 80 years old. And I looked back on my life, and I saw that if that's all I ever did was just have a job, which nothing wrong with having a job, but for me, if that's all I did, I knew when I got to 80, I wouldn't have been proud of myself, and I wouldn't have lived the fullest life I could live. So I quit my job and I had no plan, which I don't recommend, but I had no plan. I had no nothing, but here I am 5 years later, and it's the best decision I ever made. I'm still a lawyer, obviously, but now I get to serve a lot of other people. And it's just been really, really a very fun ride. So that's me.
That's wonderful. I'm sure when you were a child, you would, try to maybe stay out later at night or do this or do that. And they probably said, she's going to be a lawyer someday, right?
Well, yeah, I think because I talk and argue a lot, but other than that, yes, you're right.
Now let's switch the channel to our entrepreneurs that are watching.
Yeah.
And by the way, I want to remind our folks, ask any questions you want. This is your great opportunity for live. Now, what are the most common mistakes that you see entrepreneurs make in the first, let's say, 12 to maybe 24 months of launching a business?
Yeah, not having a legal budget. So many entrepreneurs, Joel, are visionaries and creatives, and paperwork is not what they like to do. You don't go into business to do paperwork. I say that about pastors too, because I serve a lot of pastors. They don't go into church world to do paperwork, but the paperwork long term is going to make you rise or fall. And especially like your song says, like if you have business partners or anything like that, just getting things in writing up front and making sure expectations are clear and things like that, that I can tell you, I have a lot of very successful entrepreneur clients and friends that come to me later wishing that I have a little system in place for entrepreneurs, wishing that they had put my system in place and done what I suggested, which is just get your paperwork in order. It would save you so much heartache, so much heartbreak. If anyone tries to sue you, like, do you know you can limit how much people can sue you for in contracts? You can limit how they can sue you. You can limit where they can sue you. But if you don't have any of these things written down, people can sue for how much ever they want, wherever they want, whenever they want. So there's these things, I call it the CIA, right? The CIA in the USA uses secret tactics to make the country strong. Well, you can do that. You young entrepreneurs or you seasoned entrepreneurs can all put the CIA in place. It's making sure you have the right company, LLC, a C Corp, S Corp, whatever it is, making sure you have the right company in place, the right insurance in place, which is another thing. No entrepreneur wants to spend money on insurance, which is a huge mistake. And then your agreement. And you want to make sure you have good, rock solid agreements with your partners, with your vendors, and with anyone you do business with. And if you get that, you have built a wall around your company, a wall of safety and security that allows you to grow huge without, staying awake at night worrying about what if something happens. So that's what I would say is the biggest mistake, not doing the paperwork, not putting the CIA system in place.
And it involves, I would think, having uncomfortable conversations. What if there's two business partners? What if one of us dies? Or what if, someone gets in a car accident and gets mentally disabled or something like that? Those are the conversations of what are the hopes that we have. That's entrepreneurs love that lane. But what are the fears and what are some of the bad situations and how can we leverage some of the ideas that someone like yourself can bring to help ameliorate the bad effects, right?
Oh no, Joel, you're totally right. Like if you are in a partnership with somebody and they pass away, and their estate takes a partnership, did you intend to be in business with their wife or their son or their stepchild? You probably didn't. And so you do, again, up front, you don't think about these things, but you should think about them up front and just get them handled, because trust me, audience, when I tell you, it's much easier to talk about them right when you start than down the road. Much, much simpler when emotions are calm, everyone's, calm, they're excited. Much better time to talk about it right at the start. And your company agreements on this point will outline that piece of it. So it was a really smart comment.
It's like what you did, looking at you're 80 and you're trying to think in a positive way. What would I be proud of? In a sense, it's almost looking out in advance at 80 and what are some of the worst things that could happen? And how can we deal with it? It's both sides, right? It's not just the Pollyanna-ish type of views.
Totally. I mean, actually, lawyers, a lot of, are really there to help you mitigate, reduce the risk of worst case scenario. It's the same with insurance. A lot of people don't want to pay for insurance, but if you have a claim, boy, you better hope to goodness that you have insurance, right? It's the same thing. Like that insurance will mitigate your risk, mitigate financial loss, mitigate heartache down the road. And it's worth taking a day to think through all these things and just get them hammered out.
At what point should a founder stop using friends and family and hire a real lawyer?
Day one. What are you talking about? I'm a lawyer, Joel. Oh man, I can't tell you how many times, even it's so sweet and precious, because I have people that come to me and say, hey, I wrote this agreement, and I can tell it's like off ChatGPT, or like, hey, I got my friend's agreements and I kind of piece this together. And it's, I love that, trying to get things accomplished yourself and doing yourself, but it's oftentimes just easier just to go to a lawyer, and often cheaper just to go to a lawyer right up front. What is a little bit difficult, though, I would say, is for entrepreneurs, churches too, which are a lot of my clients, as you know, you do want to find a lawyer that is entrepreneurial, because lawyers can often over lawyer things. And so if you can find somebody that really understands your business and or that has an entrepreneurial mindset also, you're going to get your biggest bang for your buck, and you're going to be light years ahead. Because again, a lot of times lawyers are thinking very lawyerly and like, let's get rid of all risk. Well, you can't do that in business, right? Like you'll get nowhere. You'll never advance. So something, if you can find somebody that's entrepreneurial, that is going to be your best bet. If you're a lawyer, if you're an entrepreneur that's just getting started. And actually, there are some online courses for entrepreneurs related to the legal world now, some DIYs out there that you can at least learn and get educated. There's so much on YouTube that you can just at least learn and have enough knowledge so that when you go to a lawyer, you're not paying huge, gigantic legal bills and not knowing, unexpected legal bills.
What are some of the non-negotiable clauses in an agreement, in a partnership or an operating agreement?
Well, one of the ones you said is what happens if something happens to one of the partners. That is a huge one. Obviously, the equity split, the ownership split, income split. By the way, I don't know if you know, but your income split can be different than your ownership split. Who has the power to break tie votes? Who gets the senior vote? Even if you, Joel, own a company 60 and I own it 40, our voting power may be 50-50. So those are some of the things. I will say in agreements, though, agreements with your clients, I would say I would have a class action waiver so that your clients can't get together and sue you all together, because your organization will not survive in that case. I would make sure you have a jurisdiction clause so that they have to sue you in your city with your laws in your state. I would say you'd put a cap on liability, which has to be something reasonable, but it could be the amount of the contract. You've heard these like wild, crazy things. People get sued for $4 zillion, and you can cap that so that they can only sue you for the amount of the contract or some other reasonable amount. So those are some things in agreements that a lot of people don't know you can do that, but you can. And I think they're really important to put in.
That's wisdom. My screen is kind of small. I can't read what who is. Can you read that for me?
Sure. Yeah. It's from Ken Shapiro. Hi, Ken. What is the approximate cost for an attorney to read or review a 7 multi-member LLC agreement? Well, it's a great question, Ken. It depends on what state you're in, first of all. And it really depends on how complicated the agreement is. My personal opinion is, I'm not going to throw my profession under the bus, but sometimes people write too complicated, and it should be very, very simple language. If you can get it down to, for 7 multi-member, less than 20 pages, I think that would be ideal. But that probably would cost you anywhere between $1,500 to $3,000, I would think. But again, it might be easier for someone just to draft it themselves. It might, you might find a lawyer in your state that already has something drafted, which might be a little bit cheaper.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro. What legal protections should be in place before any money changes hands with partners, investors, or donors, or anything like that?
Yeah, great question. So I don't mean to go back to it, but obviously with your business partners, you definitely need your company structure set up. And even if you have a simple partnership, so the types of structures you can have is a sole proprietorship. That's just you doing business under your social security number. You can have what's called a DBA. So my name's Regan, but I could be doing business as ABC Legal or something like that. That's a sole proprietorship. Then you have a partnership, and a partnership is just two people coming together, sharing resources to do a business. To have a partnership, you can have a verbal agreement, but I do not recommend that. You would have something in writing. And so to your question, would you need something in writing? Right then, you do not want to do it verbal because guys, clarity is kindness. Okay. And having it clear, set your expectations. Joel, you may be thinking something. I may be thinking partnership means something different than you're thinking. So let's just get it in writing right up front.
Yes.
Same with an LLC. An LLC is basically a partnership, for lack of a better word, but it's a different legal form. Same thing. If you are entering into some kind of an LLC relationship with like 7 people, 100%, it needs to be in writing. And then in a corporation, I mean, you can't, obviously LLC or corporation, you can't even start them without something in writing. I mean, even with your state. So I would say that when it comes to your customers, it really depends on what kind of business you're in. I mean, obviously, if you're in e-commerce or something online, your contract with your customers can be your privacy policy, your terms of use, your terms of purchase. So that makes it super easy, right? Because it's just right on your website. But if you're selling anything of any kind of service or any sort of anything of significance to a client, you definitely want to have some kind of an agreement, making sure that they understand what services or goods you're providing in exchange for what money they're paying and when they're paying it. It doesn't have to be complicated, guys. It really doesn't.
Yeah. Now, most times entrepreneurs, they get together, they might be out fishing or, just
Golfing.
Whatever. And golfing. And it's a friend or a family member wants to go into business together. What are some of the landmines that you've seen in your experience, and how can they guard against that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do think friends and family working together has a lot of positive things, right? You trust them, you love them, but it is hard to fire them, right? Or to break the business relationship. And so, even if it is with friends and family, again, it is good just to set the expectation right up front. And sometimes that is hard. But you know what's harder? Firing your family. Much harder.
Yes.
So setting the expectation right up front is really the best thing you can do. So landmines, again, make like in an LLC or a partnership relationship, figuring out what happens when one partner can't be in business anymore. Or I have one client right now that he wants to sell his half of the business. It's a very, very, very successful business, and he can't. He's literally not allowed in the operating agreement.
Wow.
And then I have another client that actually he wants to sell his part of the business, and the other person doesn't, but he's going to have to because he has something that's called a pull along. Like he has to just do whatever this other guy says. Essentially, that's in his operating agreement. So you don't realize that when you start your companies. You don't realize like, oh, everyone loves each other and we all agree on everything. But one day there will be a disagreement. If you have any success at all, there will be some kind of disagreement. So that's a landmine. Another landmine is what happens if one partner wants to get out, how much they're buying that piece of the business for, and when they can buy it. So there's a lot there to think about, but those are some of the landmines, I would say.
Well, we're at the top of the hour here, and we have to take a break for our sponsor, the Rosetta Universe. So, Mel, we're going to come back to that question that's coming up. And also we're going to talk about Joel Osteen, Lakewood, and your work with, getting that 16,000 seat place and NBA arena and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of figure that out. Go ahead, Mel.
I scraped the dirt out of the carved inscriptions after L.T. Bouchard unearthed the Rosetta Stone near the Nile. Incredible moment. Wish you were there. Help the Rosetta Stone Traveling Exhibit Project transform an ancient artifact, the Rosetta Stone, into a modern metaphor for problem solving. This is life-changing.
Well, there you have it. Someone from who helped to unearth the Rosetta Stone is speaking and endorsing this project. Heady stuff. So we have a lot of information on the link tree if you go above to the QR code. And one more thing I'll throw in here in terms of learning about the Rosetta Stone is we have this Jack Johnson belt that I designed. This is it weighs 8.5 pounds. It's very heavy, and we've had Ray Mercer and Anthony, Bernard Hopkins, and others, Larry Holmes, have all said Roberto Durant have all said it's the most beautiful belt they've ever seen, and I give high marks to the folks I worked with on this project. But we're only making 700 of these worldwide, and so you can donate. The only way to get this belt is to donate to the Rosetta Universe Project, and you will then receive this as a thank you for donating to the project, to the foundation's nonprofit U.S. Donation. Anywhere in the world you can donate to this, and we'll work that out to get one of these to you. So just wanted you to know about that. You got to go to rosettauniverse.com and check it out. Now back to you, Regan. Man, this has already been very enlightening. Can you read that the question or comment?
I sure can. And I can't read all of it, but I got the gist of it. So Jules Sanford asks, doesn't a small multi-member LLC need to appoint one of the members as a managing director? Isn't it cumbersome for all day-to-day decisions to be made by a majority of the members? It's a great question. And the answer is, it's up to you. So the member, your managing director can be whoever the members vote for. So it doesn't have to be a member. It can be John Doe over here. It can be a third party that has not, that isn't a member. You also can still have your LLC managed by the members, but you can appoint like a COO, an operating director, or something like that to handle the day-to-day operations. A managed run LLC has the manager making most of the decisions. The member obviously makes the highest level corporate decisions and chooses the manager. So it's a great question. It does seem like if you have a multi-member LLC with a lot of members, that having a manager might be a good way to move forward faster.
Thank
I hope
you.
that answers your question, Jules.
That sounded a great response, like a great response. Now, when you have people that are putting something together, a business or a nonprofit, what part does documentation play in terms of winning or avoiding a lawsuit?
100%. I'm sorry. I wish I can expand on that. 100%. That's it. 100%.
And what does that look like in terms of document? How does a person know what they're to document, let's say?
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, obviously we've been talking a lot about your company documents, right? So you'll want, obviously, well, not to repeat ourselves, but to do that. And then, in your agreements, if the expectations aren't clear, what you're delivering isn't clear, what the payment isn't clear, you are ripe for a lawsuit. And if you're doing it verbal, you're ripe for a lawsuit. And so that's where actually, insurance kicks in, because if someone sues you for a breach of contract, there is a type of insurance to help you with that, professional liability insurance, depending on the type of business you're in. And then if someone sues you for some personal injury, like a damage to themselves or to their property, that your general liability insurance will kick in there. And here's what's cool, guys. So there is what's called, under most insurance policies. Now, I know you have audience all over the world, and America has, in my experience, and I'm not super experienced all over the world with this, but we have a very sophisticated insurance system here. but in America, if you have general liability insurance or professional liability insurance or media liability insurance, if you create online content, for example, and someone sues you, your insurance has, this is so cool, what's called a duty to defend. That means that they have a requirement to hire you a lawyer, to pay your legal fees, to, if necessary, negotiate a settlement, and then to pay the settlement. So it's really great because they, could you imagine as a business owner, you think you have all the stuff from writing, you think you're rock solid, you think you're avoiding lawsuits, you're doing everything, but then someone sues you. Because by the way, in America, anyone can sue you for any reason they want or for no reason at all. They can just make it up and sue you. Okay. Well, you have to defend that claim. Like, you can't just ignore it. You have to hire a lawyer to defend it. You have to. And it's going to cost you money, right? So as rock solid as you think you are, having all your documents and everything, your insurance is going to kick in at that point and help protect you against, unwanted unexpected financial loss by hiring you a lawyer and paying all your legal fees. So at what point do you need a write? You said at what point do you need a writing? At the very beginning. And how much will your writing protect you from a lawsuit? 100%. But that doesn't mean you're 100% clear. In America especially, and it's so amazing, guys, because most people think they're doing everything right and upright and with integrity of heart, at least my clients. It doesn't matter. Every man is right in his own eyes. There's a sacred text, the scripture, that says every man is right in his own eyes. And so people are still probably going to make a claim against you at some point if you have any success in business at all.
If you're not successful, who cares, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And another thing, to kind of hitchhike off that, in working with business partners and all the rest over the years, another thing that you can help me understand and help us understand is it after a phone call with a business partner or a friend you're in business with or a family member or something like that, just to send an email and say, hey, man, thanks for talking. It's my understanding that we came to this decision, and keep it friendly. But that is just as much documentation as if it was a legal document, right? And
Correct.
As you're filling in the gaps down the road if some trouble happens.
That's correct. Yep. That's absolutely right. That's a memorialization of the agreement that you made verbally. And that's all any contract is a memorialization of an agreement between two parties. So yes, an email will definitely serve that. And in fact, Joel, I don't remember the exact facts of this case. Okay. But somebody sent somebody a text that said, hey, just want to confirm we discussed this XYZ, And the person replied back with a thumb up emoji. And the court said that was his agreement that was his, like, basically signing his name on that agreement. Thumb up emoji.
Wow.
Yeah.
That they had that conversation. There was no pushback from him.
Yeah, that was it. Because he was claiming, like, I never agreed to that, and I didn't whatever, and it was in a text message, and the court said, oh no, like, you put a thumb up emoji, that means you agreed to it. So that created an agreement, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in his mind, he might have been thinking, well, I got your message, not necessarily agreeing with it, but I got it. But that's how the court interpreted it. Wow.
Exactly.
There's another.
Watch out with your emojis, guys.
Yeah, watch out. Can you read this one? Once again, I can't see.
Sure.
It's too small.
Janet Milford, thank you. This is a great question. Is E&O insurance the same as liability insurance if you're selling a service? So errors and omission, guys, E&O stands for errors and omission, and it is a type of liability insurance. Another name for it is professional liability insurance, which I was referring to earlier. And E&O will help if you make some kind of error in your contracts or in your service provision, or some kind of an omission, obviously some kind of error or omission, and it damages your client. And so maybe you taught them the wrong thing and it costs them money or whatever. It's a breach of contract type of thing. Your professional liability insurance, your E&O insurance, should kick in to help you if you're selling a service and your client believes that they're damaged by it. Great question, Janet.
Thank you, Janet. Now, what advice do you give entrepreneurs in terms of handling an exit, like a merger, selling a company or something like that, or even succession?
Yeah. Actually, I'm working with a client right now that's going through a sale. It's a lot of work. I'll tell you that. If your company is of any size, it definitely is a lot of work. There's a lot of, there's a report you have to get called the quality of earnings, showing how strong your company is, how there's a term I'm sure you've heard called EBITDA, which shows how much value your company has to the seller, for lack of a better, it means a lot of things, but that's basically it. And yeah, what was the question, Joel? What about people who are selling? Oh, what to do? What's to tell your clients? Yeah,
what advice?
Yeah, just take it slow, get all your ducks in order, make sure you're really well organized, make sure your P&L is strong if you're considering selling. And I would say get a good broker in your industry. A good broker in the industry that you're in, depending on your size, can really help you get the best deal. They're expensive, right? Because if your company's worth any amount of money, you're going to pay them a percentage, and it can be lots of money ultimately, but they'll make you more money because they're experts in how to get the best deal for you and your family or your business. And so I would say hire a broker. Yeah.
Is there another question there? I think there's another one, right?
It is, but it's a joke from Jill. She said, "Why would anyone name a child Sue?" And that's a great question. That's a great question. I hadn't thought of it.
Especially a boy like Johnny Cash's song, right?
Yeah, totally.
Name him Sue to toughen him up.
Totally.
So when it comes to what legal habits separate leaders who survive crises and those who don't?
Yeah, good question. I would say, that's a great question, Joel. And I'm not sure if I can articulate this, but maybe you can help me get it out. Leaders who stay calm and understand that storms come and storms go, and who are able to sit in the storm and see through it and rest, have a peace inside, seem to be the ones that make it through, because that calm, that peacefulness allows whatever you call it, the divine, to work through you when you're all tore up and freaking out and everything. I think more wrong decisions are made during those times, and decisions made on emotion. And I think really, in my experience over 20, it's now been 25 years, the leaders that are able to just stay calm and rely on their relationship with the divine or their own gut instinct, and just understand storms are going to come, guys. And entrepreneurial world, it's like this, every day it's something different. You never know you're up or down. But storms are going to come. So those who just aren't really anchored, I think have a strong center, are the ones that really survive.
It has been said, we're either walking toward a problem, in a problem, or walking away from a problem.
I love that. I love that. And Tony Robbins, who I'm a huge fan of, he says, actually be grateful for bigger problems. You want bigger problems because it means you're doing bigger things on earth, right? So you have bigger problems, be happy about it. And he actually has this, I'm not going to get this exactly right, but he has this rule where a problem would come and he'd be so mad, for days, and get super angry. And then he decided, he trained himself like a muscle. He could be mad for 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And then, and he said, he realized when he was mad for days and so angry, that his employees would avoid telling him any problems. Well, that turned into a bigger problem because then he didn't know when bad things were happening. Right. And so then now he has this 90-second rule. And so now his employees feel comfortable coming to him and telling him when there's a problem. And he's, calm enough and in state, what he calls in state, just a calm state, to help address the issue. So.
Yeah, I worked for a few years with WACRA, which is the World Airline Customer Relations Association, something like that. And they meet, once a year in either Iceland, where Icelandic Air hosts it, or something like that. And I told them one time, I said, if it's appropriate to go over and hug someone who's just yelling at you and say, "Thank you. You are my job security."
Right.
I deal with problems, and it's just, I think it's a mindset that if we approach problems in a way, and a complaint is actually a gold mine of information, it can actually change the way an organization goes because someone is complaining about something, and then you start reworking and rethinking, and then reinvesting, and the resilience comes in. That becomes the strongest area of the company because you listened to a complaint and did something about it. And of course, one complaint is one thing, but if you get 5 complaints in the same area, it's more systemic. Now it's a systemic issue that needs to be addressed. So
that is so good, Joel, because the truth is, like, in every issue on planet Earth, there's a good and a bad, and we get to pick. It's up to us to train our minds and to train our hearts to pick the good or the bad. It's your choice. And so I love this because a complaint, you're right, it's an opportunity. Okay, where's the issue here? Let's fix it.
There was a woman I talked with who I think lived in Philadelphia, and she was someone who helped people with their investments. She worked for a bank, I think it was, and she had a pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies, and he was in his quarterly meeting with her. And she's giving updates. And then he started talking about how his dogs were pooping in the backyard. And that was the worst thing of owning a dog. She let it go. Next quarterly meeting, at the end of the meeting, done. Can I ask you a question personally? Would you pay someone to come pick up the dog poop in your backyard? He says, absolutely. And I've got a bunch of friends that would do the same thing. She ended up leaving her career, and within 3 years had 9 employees making over $1 million a year cleaning up dog poop in people's backyards. Someone's problem became her, her business. And so it's just you could be standing in line somewhere, and 2 people behind you could be complaining about something. That could be a gold mine of information. And we're in business because of problem solving. Totally. And the moment we stop solving problems, we're out of business. If we're a small concern, a larger corporation takes a year or two to unwind, but it's problem solving, and it becomes exciting.
You are so right. Actually, I love this because every business owner goes into business to solve some problem, and the problem that you solve, the bigger the problem, the more money you make, honestly.
That's right.
Right. So I love this because hearing people's complaints, actually, you're so right. That's so wise and so smart. You can just turn it into $1 million business. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Is this another question here, Regan?
Yes, from Keeson said their poop became her bread and butter, which is absolutely right. That is hilarious. But somebody before that was asking, Larry Kennison, a really tough question, which is, are the non-compete restrictive covenants for members enforceable, or is it a restraint of free labor? So it depends. I don't know about outside the U.S. In the U.S., it depends state to state, but I will tell you that non-competes are becoming more and more unenforceable. California can't even have a non-compete. In several states, I think the federal government tried to make them not enforceable, but then I don't know, something happened with that. So if you want to have a non-compete, you really should talk to a lawyer in your state about how to frame it in a way that will make it legally enforceable, because it's really tough. Non-competes are very tough these days. There's other things you can do, but a non-compete is a really tough thing right now.
Talk about a leader's integrity and their character, and how does that show up in legal outcomes over time?
Yeah, I say this, the righteous don't ever have to worry. There's nothing to worry about, but I've had the great fortune of working with some of the most integrous. Is integrous a word? People with some of the most.
We're going to make that up tonight.
Okay, some of the people with some of the most integrity, massive amounts of integrity, that I've even ways I didn't know, like to be just full of integrity, and I will say that it does carry weight. It carries weight, just in the universe. It carries weight. Things seem to go well for them. And when it comes to the law, it's funny, I said this before, but every man is right in his own eyes. And so if there is a conflict, as right as you think you are is as right as they think they are. But the integrity, the scripture says the integrity of the upright guides them. And so integrity, I would say, for business is so important. You can walk boldly without fear, with your head held high. And even if someone makes a legal claim against you, it's okay. The righteous have nothing to fear.
That's a great response. Now, what question should every leader ask a lawyer before a crisis, not during it?
Oh heavens! Well, one question I like to do for all my clients, whether they ask me or not, is make sure their legal foundations are strong. And so I oftentimes, when I meet a new client, just look at their CIA, I look at their company documents, I look at their insurance, and I look at their agreements, just to make sure we've got these rock solid foundations. The scripture says that a city without walls is easily attacked or something like that. I'm not just going to say the scripture exactly right, but and that's where I say again, putting these this is just a little wall around your city, your company, which your company's your whole life, right? You're literally giving the most hours of your life as something you can leave to your children. It's an inheritance for your family. It's all these things. Why wouldn't you put a wall around it? So whatever your question was, what should people ask a lawyer? Look at these for me, please. Please look at my company, make sure it's strong. Please look at my insurance, make sure it's protecting my risk. And please look at my agreements. You guys, if you're in business, you should have standard templates. Don't just take everybody's agreements that send your way. No, you have your own agreements. You draft them, you make sure they're good for your business. And that's what they should be asking me. Can you please look at these three things?
Beautiful. And people cannot manage that which they don't measure. And I would say, to add to hitchhike off what you're saying, is to have measurements in place, not just for growth, but also measurements in terms of what's happening, what's the income outflow of money, and being able to understand human resources and all that kind of stuff is so important, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure. Having a good P&L, having a balance sheet, reviewing those constantly. I mean, those are things every CEO should be doing. It's not, that's a little bit less of a legal thing than a financial thing, but it does affect legal. That is sure, because if there's something wrong on the P&L, believe me, they'll be calling, they should have a lawyer on standby for that kind of thing. So yes, for sure.
And when money starts stacking up, that's when greed comes in, and greed is measurable.
Yes, that is very, very true. In fact, I had one client that I had told several years ago. I said, hey, it was a friend of mine. It was his brother. Okay. So he said, could you talk to my brother? I said, sure. So I said, hey, I think you should make sure that your founding documents have these clauses in it to protect you as the founder of the company and Oh no, he said, I've talked to my friends who have started successful businesses and they all do it this way and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, but they've never been through a breakup. Once your company gets successful, you are going to have a problem. I'm just telling you, you are. No, I'm fine. I talked to all these big famous entrepreneurs. I'm good, whatever. Sure enough, 10 years later, he's very successful. They've got lots of money in the bank. They're humming and going. And some of the partners kicked him out. And then he called me, what can I do? What can I do? And I said, I'm so sorry. Nothing. There's literally nothing.
Wow.
So this is the way you set up. I would never say I told you so, but I totally told him so. This is the way you set up. You trusted everybody. And unfortunately, you're out. And so, I mean, can you guys imagine? 10 years of your life building this, your blood, sweat, and tears, your family gets, you sacrifice time with your family. You sacrifice so much. You missed out on so much to build this company that gets taken from you just because you don't have a couple clauses in your documents. The scripture says that it's the little foxes that spoil the vine. And this is just a little fox. A couple of sentences would have saved his whole business from getting ripped out from under him.
Another illustration I heard is a gentleman, he walked across the country, and a reporter asked him, what's the toughest thing you faced in this 3,000-mile trek? You're thinking maybe a bear jumped out at him, or something, someone drove by and yelled at him or threatened him. He said it was the little pebbles that got in his sneakers.
That's it.
And he said, was the biggest challenge.
That's it. Well, that's true. Excuse me, guys. That's true for business owners too, a lot of times, right? Because if they're paying attention to the little pebbles or not paying attention to the big picture, which is really where their best time is spent. So get rid of the little pebbles fast as you can.
Or hire people to take care of little pebbles and watch it for you.
Exactly.
Exactly. There's another question there. And by the way, we have about 3 minutes left. we're not going to, and I can't see the question, so there's no judgment here, but I want to turn a corner. What is fundamentally different about representing a mega church compared to traditional business or nonprofit?
Yeah. I would say, honestly, not that much, really. I mean, your audience is probably going to hate this, but I mean, a mega church is a business, right? I mean, as much as we hate to think of it as that, it is a business. I would say the biggest difference is the people, because when you work and represent a mega church or any church, those people, at least in my experience, they are united in a mission to help make the world a better place. And that is very unifying, a very unifying experience to work with people like that. Entrepreneurs, I think, have that same thing. They are united to serve some kind of purpose or to solve a problem like we were talking about. But I think from a legal perspective, there's tons of differences, because churches, guys, audience, Joel, churches in the US are the most free organizations on planet Earth. They are really, really protected by the US government, the religious freedom. And that doesn't include Christian churches. That would include, mosques or synagogues or temples of any kind. The United States government, by God's grace, has really insulated religious organizations like a church or a temple, so that they're free to express, their faith in the way they want. So from a legal perspective, it is a lot different in the law, because they have a lot of freedoms, but you still want to do the right thing and follow best practices and things like that. Of course, in business, there's a lot of, regulations and restrictions and things you have to file things with the IRS and the state and all kinds of things. So from that perspective, legally, there's a lot of differences.
We probably have time for one more question, but how do you balance confidentiality, transparency, and public scrutiny when your client is constantly in the spotlight?
Great question. Well, as a lawyer, I have a legal obligation, a professional responsibility to keep what I do for my clients confidential. So that is just something, I guess they train you in law school or something. I really don't talk much about my clients, honestly. I mean, obviously you mentioned I worked for Pastor Joel Osteen for many years, and I can just tell you this isn't confidential. He's a wonderful man. He really is. And I've been very honored to be able to help support him and many other pastors in the U.S. So.
Well, thank you. And let's see, we might have, well, you know what? Our time is up.
Okay.
So I'm sorry about that last question. I apologize. I wish we were an hour and a half. Regan, thank you so much for taking time. How can people reach you?
Sure. Thank you, Joel, for asking. So I have a website like everybody. It's called churchlawandstrategy.com. Obviously, because I support churches mainly. I have a handful of entrepreneur clients, but mainly churches, Church Law and Strategy. I also, for you entrepreneur clients that are not churches, I do have what I call the Street Legal Guide. You can find it at streetlegalguide.com. And it basically is an online course that goes over all the things I talked about here today. If you're interested, it has like 20 different agreements for e-commerce or coaching. It has all kinds of stuff in there that I put together just for entrepreneurs that are out there trying to do great things on earth and just are, a little, just don't understand the law or need some help or don't know where to go. So it's DIY. So you can check me out there, streetlegalguide.com. But mostly if you want to get in contact with me, go to churchlawandstrategy.com.
And hire her to come and speak. A dynamic speaker. Thank you so much, Regan.
You have just experienced another episode of the Mischief Maker broadcast. Hit the subscribe button. Connect at chiefmischiefmaker.com Thanks for coming along for the ride. And hopefully, you are now a bit closer to becoming a mischief maker